Hello, my name's Debbie and I'm going to be making a project that I brought from the Printable Craft Shop from Crafting for Good, and what I'm going to be making is a planner. I'm going to be using Follow Your Dreams planner, which I brought and downloaded from the Printable Craft Shop from Crafting for Good. You have to print out a lot of the elements in advance, which I have done, which I shall show you now. There are a selection of note papers, calendars, timetables, planners, to-do lists, note pages that you can print out. You have the blank notes page, you have the to-do list, you also have the weekly planner and lovely little note section. You can also print out calendars if you want to, 2018, 2019, and there's also a blank one available that you can use for any year. You also need to print out a back page. What I've also done is printed the backing paper on the back of this. You need the side panel one. Again, I printed the backing paper on the back of this. You need side panel 2 and yet again backing paper. And finally you need the little note section that these are the toppers that you actually use to pin your notes together. So you use these to hold your note paper basically. What I then need to do is cut everything out. So I'm going to cut out side panel 2, the note holders, side panel 1, backing paper, and all of the notes pages. So rather than you watch me cut out, I've already done this in advance. So these are the notes holders. What you have to do with these, you cut them out as indicated. On the white corner panels you have to cut down those panels, and what that does, that allows you to make a box fold. Which means you can then fold them up so they will sit with your note pages in nice and neatly. So I'm just cutting down those lines on all three. Each size is relevant to the pages that you print off, whether you print off a calendar, whether you print off a note paper holder. Depending on what you print off is what size note paper holder you would use. I'm just going to get my scoreboard out. I'm just going to line up the edges with my lines. Now I do colour in the lines on my scoreboard just to make it easier to line everything up, so I can see when they start and where they finish, so I don't have to put everything against the top edge of the scoreboard, because I can just do it where the lines are because I've coloured them. I have coloured one line in the centre in black, and then on the centimetre side I've coloured the whole numbers in red, and I've left the half centimetres as normal shading. This allows me then to see the start and the bottom of each line, so I can just line up. So I've scored those where they needed to be scored. And what you need to do is just give yourself some nice sharp crease lines. If you have nails, use these. If you have a bone folder, use these. The edges where we've cut are going to fold over, and then the centre one will stick on top. I do like wet glue, I find it sticks much better. What I am going to do is use a handheld hole punch, and I'm going to punch the holes where indicated on the printed sheets. This will allow me then to put the brad through, which will hold the note paper in place. So all I'm going to do is just punch them all . like so. Because I'm using wet glue, I have got a couple of pegs that I'm just going to use to hold it in place. Now I prefer the Collall all-purpose glue. There is no right or wrong with glue, it's whatever you prefer. If you're a tape lover, go for tape. If you're a glue lover, go for glue. I prefer this because it gives me a little bit of room to manoeuvre. So if it's not in the right place, it gives me 2 minutes wiggle time until it's completely set. And all I'm going to do is overlap one edge over the other and then fold the end panel down. This will allow me to pop a peg over to hold it in place while it sets. You've then got your notes holder ready with the holes punched in, ready to go. And you do that for all 3 of them, and you end up with 3 different size note holders depending on what pages you print out. We then need to cut out the pages that we want to use. I've decided I want the weekly planner and I want the notepad list, the long list, which I really like. I find it so pretty. I'm just going to line those up and I'm just going to cut them out ready to use. Now with these you need to perforate them. So once you've cut them, again you hole punch them to line them up with your holes in your note holders that you've just made. So the brads will go through the pages along with the holes in the notes holder, which will allow you then to replace them if and when you use them all. So this kit can go on and on and on for as long as you want to. I'm also going to cut out some to-do lists because I haven't made up my mind quite yet whether I want a to-do list in my planner or whether I want plain note pages. My planner, I can print it out as often as I want to, so I can have anything I want to in there and I can chop and change, or I could do a mixture of the two. So again, I'm just cutting this out just so you can see exactly how easy this is to cut out. Now the whole project, once you've printed out everything that you need and you're ready to start, shouldn't take you more than about 45 minutes. Depends how fast you craft, how many interruptions you have, but roughly 45 minutes to an hour. I'm just going to put my hole punch over the pages and line up with the white circles that they provide you. So it shows you exactly where to hole punch. And you do that on all the pages. Now you want to make this into a little pad, so I suggest you print out about 25 of them and you hole punch 25. This will give you a nice size notepad to use or weekly planner. Again, hole punch all of the holes. As you can see, you can do it quite quickly once you've got the hang of it. We have to perforate those. So to do this, the easiest way is if you have a cutting guillotine, trimmer, whichever your preference is, that has a scoring blade on it. I use the Clever Cut Mini from Crafter's Companion, and as you can see I can change it to a wavy cut, a straight cut or a perforation. If you don't have a trimmer that perforates, you can do this by using a kitchen sponge or a bathroom sponge, or a pricking mat if you do parchment, with a needle, and you go along excuse me, and you perforate using your needle. It is time consuming. The good news is you can do multiple sheets at the same time. So if you've got about 6 or 7 sheets, you can pop those together and perforate them all at the same time. So you can get them done quite quickly. It's obviously a lot quicker and simpler if you do have a trimmer that will perforate for you. What this will allow is you to tear the pages off once you've used them, and if you don't want them anymore, as so. So quite easy to tear off when perforated. Put those pages aside, because what we're going to do is, once we've cut out our batch of them, we're going to put them inside our holder and make our paper pieces. So I've cut and punched out quite a few in advance. So we have a nice batch there. We put them inside the notepad holder. We line them up with the holes. Sometimes the hole doesn't quite 100% come out after you've punched, so if you do have a remainder of a hole, just pop it out before you try and stick it together. I've just got some gold headed brads here. All I'm going to do is pop them through so it comes out of the back, and then simply open up the brad. Not only does this look pretty, it does keep everything in place, but it will also allow you to replace the paper in there if you use it all up. And what it does say on there is "be your own kind of beautiful," which is an absolutely gorgeous little pad. And what you're going to do is you're going to do the same with your to-do list. With your weekly planner and your notes pages, if you want those, depending on whether you want the to-do list or the note pages. It's entirely up to you which one you would prefer. So once we've done these, we need to move on to create the base for our planner to sit in. So what we need for that is our back page, and what we do is we trim it out to size and we score on the lines where indicated. We also print backing paper on the back of it to make it look pretty. There's no point the inside being pretty, you want the outside being pretty as well. What I'm going to do is line that up on my scoreboard, and I'm going to score the 2 lines as indicated. On the dash line, what you can do is you can perforate that line as well, so you can actually separate your planners quite easily. It will stay together when you want it to be together, but you can also separate it into 3 separate planners if you choose to. What I'm going to do now I've scored is simply fold the score lines in and burnish them. I am using my nail just because it's easier for me to do this. So again, there are no right or wrongs with crafting. Crafting is right when you enjoy it. That's the only rule going. Again, fold and burnish. So you're folding them both in as mounting folds. So what you then end up with is an allowance to sit your pads in. So these are your corners. With the side panel one, you're going to cut them out. So they're on the sheet like that. What you do is print on the back. This one you simply rotate and turn. That will then sit back to back. That will then sit over there. So the front part of it will glue to the outside end panel, the inside will glue to the inside end panel, and will stick solidly together over there. So that gives you your first cover. Side panel 2, again, it's got a lovely button detail and borders and absolutely gorgeous flowers. Again, you cut them as indicated. You print on the, you don't need to print on the back of these, because what's going to happen is that one is the back, so you're actually not going to see the back at all on there. And again, we do exactly the same thing. One goes either side of the end panel and we glue that down. What you then have is your folder. So I'm just going to take these off while I glue this in place. Again, there is no right and wrong on this. However you find the best way to glue and stick things down, that's the best way for you. Whether you're a glue person, whether you're a double-sided tape person, there are no right or wrongs with doing this. I'm just going to line this up. Again, I use this glue because it gives me wiggle time. So if it's not 100% right, I have 2 minutes to move it around to get it exactly where. So as you can see, I've not lined it up 100%. So I'm just going to wiggle it so it's at the seam where I want it to be. So there's my fold line, and there's that. And I've got no excess card, top or bottom. So I'm just going to lie that flat, and I'm going to work on this side while that sets. Again, I'm going to do the front. So I'm going to just give that a nice sharp score. Some more wet glue on here. And then all I'm going to do is just put that up to the end. Try and get it roughly in place where I want it. Nice firm press with the glue just to make it grab. And then again, turn him over and line him up where I want him to be. Oops, he's moved, bear with me. Bear with me, this isn't quite going to plan. There we go, he's now in the right place. This one has just moved slightly. So again, I'm just going to pop that in place and press firmly down to make sure they stick. I'm just going to wiggle this one a fraction to get that in the right place where I want it to be. Okay. Lifting it slightly, it's just a fraction out, and I do want it to be perfect. There we go. This is the good thing about this glue, is it does allow you 2 minutes to reposition. So if you're not entirely happy with where it is, you do get that 2 minutes to allow you to move it. I'm happy with both sides now, so I'm going to open them both out. And then the back of that section I'm going to stick over the top, and I'm just putting plenty of glue on to make sure it sticks. And again, I have that little bit of wiggle time. The good part on this now is I can actually see the line I need to go up to. So press it all down, make sure it's grabbing. You can turn it over then, and you can make sure it's lined up perfectly. So fold against fold. If you do have a little bit of extra showing, you can always then get your scissors and give that a nice trim. So there's the one side, and again repeat the process on the other side. So plenty of glue. I do like to put quite a lot around the seam because I do like to make sure it is stuck and it's not going to move. And if you're giving these away as gifts, or giving them to charities to sell, or even selling yourself, you do want to make it perfect. It is a lovely gift to give away. It looks so elegant. The patterns are so pretty and there's a lot to choose from. You also have a Christmas selection in here, so if you like your Christmas planners and your shopping lists and your present lists and your cookery lists, you can do all of those as well. There are so many in the selection to choose from. Okay, so we've made the outside of our planner. Well, that one's just finishing drying. I'm just going to pop him out the way a second and bring in one I made earlier. So this one is now fully dry. I would leave the other one to dry for about 5 minutes just to make sure the glue is set fully. So we've now got our planner. We've got the nice pattern on the inside. We've got the printed pattern on those, and that will just sit nicely. And because of the depth we've got in that, this will hold our planners in so nicely. Now what I'm going to do is just use some double-sided tape. Now I'm using red liner tape because I do want to make sure this sticks. So I'm just going to find the end and I'm just going to run this across the back of my notes holder, and I'm going to give it a little trim. Now you don't have to do this if you don't want to. What I'm going to do, I'm going to donate these to where I work, which is a hospital, so they can sell them to make money. So whereas normally for family and friends I would do this so I could change the pages and renew it for them and give them fresh pages to put in, because I'm not going to be aware of who actually purchased this as the end result, it's not an option, I have to do that. So I'm just going to make sure these are stuck nice and firmly. Now I'm just lining this up either side and then just pressing down to make sure my tape is stuck. What I am going to do on the last page, I'm also going to stick the back page down. You don't need a lot of glue to do this, you just need enough to make sure it's going to stick. Now as all these pages are perforated, you can then pull off once you've finished with this week to view. So I've gone for a week to view, so you have your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then a double note section there, which gives you plenty of room to plan your week. Whether you use this for work, whether you use this for personal, whether you use it as a family planner, it's entirely your choice. Now for my to-do list or my notes pages, I'm actually going to put those sideways on, which is why if you perforate those side panels you can then just pull that off and have that as a separate one. Now what I do need to make sure is when I put this on, that does not sit on top of that, so that closes perfectly. So easiest way to do that is actually line it up in here first and then close that panel on it. So again I'm going to put the red liner tape on the back just so it adheres to the holder. Press that on nice and firm and then we're going to peel the backing off. Just going to pick it up to do this. If you find you do struggle with getting the backing off the tape, just use a pin or a pokey tool just to lift the corner edge of the tape, which will then come away easier, which I may do myself in a second if I can't get this. There we go, all done. So again I'm just going to line this up with the edge of the paper so it all sits nice and flush. I'm actually going to also put a little bit of glue on the back page so it just sticks the back page down for me. So I've got that lined up where I want it. I'm happy with that. So I'm just going to press that down so it grabs that side panel, so I know it's in the right place. So when it shuts perfectly. Okay, so I've chosen to do the to-do list on there, and I will save my blank notepads for another project. Again, all of these are perforated, so once I've used one on my to-do list, I can tick it, and then when I finish the list, if I don't need it anymore, I can just tear it off. So we have our weekly planner, we have our small note section, and we have our to-do list. What I've also prepared is my long note pages, which are absolutely beautiful. Again, all perforated, held together with the brad. These are then going to sit on the nice shaped side. Now I need these to sit below that line. So again, I need to make sure they sit underneath the header, and they also don't sit on there, so they don't get caught on anything else. So that's exactly where I need them to be. So again, on this one, I'm just going to put some red liner tape just so it grabs the top of the note holder again, and just trim that down. See if I can do this better this time and get the red liner tape off. Let me see if I can just peel that off. Almost there. There we go. Again, we're just going to line that up with the edge of that one. We're just going to give that a quick fold to make sure it doesn't touch it. And we're just going to put a little bit of glue on that last page.